Welcome back. Our conversation tonight is on the Kenya-UK relations. My panel is fully constituted, but before I introduce them, let's just see one story that will set the pace for our conversation tonight. In the period between 1952 and 1960 marked the height of real conflict between Kenyans and their British colonial master. Within this time, Kenya was under a state of emergency imposed by the British colonial government in order to launch a counter-insurgency campaign against the Mau Mau fighters who are unleashing attacks on the white settlers from the Aberdare and Mount Kenya forest. But when the guns finally went silent and freedom beckoned, the government of founding President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta established ties that would bind Kenya and Britain to date. But Kiptum explores the ever-growing relation between Kenya and our former colonial masters.
In August 1963, Prime Minister Jomo Kenyatta met with 300 white farmers in Nakuru. He reassured them that they would be safe and welcome in the independent Kenya, and more broadly talked of forgiving and forgetting the conflicts of the past.
And this is the government policy. We believe that the Kenya is large enough. Kenya potentiality is great. And all of us, and I'm not telling you this because I'm in your meeting, I'm telling you what I believe and what my government believes. That white, brown, black can work together harmoniously in this country and make this country great.
Fast forward to 60 years later, and the two countries have lived to the spirit and mood anchored in the reassurance delivered by Jomo Kenyatta to the white settlers. In 2020, the two countries announced a new strategic partnership. Their joint statement spoke of a deep, diverse and historic relationship anchored in a shared set of values and a mutual understanding of the benefits that can accrue from strong bilateral collaboration. This positive interpretation of the relationship has characterized almost the entire post-colonial period between London and Nairobi. Going back again in 1963, when Malcolm MacDonald arrived in Nairobi as Britain's last colonial governor, he recognized Kenyatta as someone that Britain could work with. Rather than being the radical he was perceived to be during the clamor for independence, Jomo Kenyatta of independent Kenya appeared to root for close ties with Britain, and this suited Britain's interests.
We believe that Kenyans are one nation. It is also consistent with the African people's past and present efforts to secure unity. It is also the logical answer to the challenge which Kenya or any new nation must face after independence. The consolidation of independence, urgent economic reconstruction and development, the need to make an impact and have influence at Pan-African and international affairs must be our immediate aim.
A much closer relationship was established over time between the United Kingdom and Kenya than with many of Britain's former African colonies. This included the British training of the Kenya Army and, in return, the British military using training facilities in Kenya. When rumors of a possible military coup against Jomo Kenyatta's government reached the British government in 1965, plans to intervene militarily were hatched, thereby preempting the problem. Not everything in the relationship was always easy. Most notably, Kenyan policies discriminating against Asian Kenyans in 1967-68 led many to seek a new life in Britain. As a result, the UK government passed legislation to limit the right of Asian Kenyans to enter the UK, despite them holding British passports, demanding that potential immigrants had existing family ties to the UK. When President Idi Amin expelled Uganda's Asian population in 1972, Britain offered military and financial aid to Kenya to ensure it did not pursue a similar policy. During Jomo Kenyatta's rule, the close relationship was cemented, and the broad outline of today's partnership was established. Prince Charles attended Kenyatta's funeral in 1978, and since then, the relationship has continued to matter to both sides. There has been some challenges. In 2013, Mau Mau veterans who had sued the British government received a settlement in the British High Court of £19.9 million. The British Foreign Secretary William Hague announced to Parliament that the British government recognises that Kenyans were subject to torture and other forms of ill treatment at the hands of the colonial administration. The British government sincerely regrets that these abuses took place and that they marred Kenya's progress towards independence, he said. Historians had already exposed the British government's brutal role in the Mau Mau rebellion, but this was a striking admission by the UK government of colonial abuses. In 2011, the International Criminal Court opened cases for crimes against humanity against Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, who were then running for president and deputy president. Prior to the election, the British government said they would have only essential contacts with the two if they won. After their electoral victory in 2013, pragmatism took over, and Britain was the first Western country to invite President Uhuru Kenyatta. At the time, Kenyatta was still facing charges at The Hague, which were later dropped. When President William Ruto attended Queen Elizabeth's funeral in London, his remarks on her death include, "The Queen's leadership of the Commonwealth for the past 7 decades is admirable. We will miss the cordial ties she enjoyed with Kenya, and may her memories continue to inspire us." Ruto highlighted the Queen's commitment to the Commonwealth as another area where the two countries have frequently cooperated. For both the British and Kenyan governments, a close connection since independence has been worth pursuing and mutually beneficial. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1.